Fantastic.
All right. Well, moving swiftly on, we will touch on the Premier League. We had the opening game of the Premier League last week.
Yeah.
Any standouts for you?
Yeah, there was a couple of standout games. I believe, Matt, there was a 7-goal thriller in Merseyside, was there?
Oh yeah, you're gonna swing that back straight to me. Okay.
Straight to you.
Yeah, there was. Bloody hell. It's not like Liverpool, is it? Just to make it just nothing's plain sailing. Nothing in Liverpool is plain sailing. You know, I watched the game on Sunday morning, and your initial reaction was, oh, Christ Almighty, like dodgy at the back there a little bit. You know, leaking goals. I was a bit critical of it. On reflection throughout the week, it wasn't a terrible performance. We made some mistakes at the back, and you know what? They are a good side. I said in my predictions that I didn't think they'd do as well as we thought they might. I'm not ready to take that back yet, but you know what? They did really well against us. They caught us on the break. They knew that we were going to play a high line, which we're going to do. We're going to do all season. They've got quick players, and they turned us around really well. I think they caught us a bit cold as well. Just coming this first game of the season, you don't often see mistakes from the likes of Van Dijk or the keeper. They managed to catch us out there. Didn't think Trent had his best game, but again, he's not really had a full preseason. He's been injured. Yeah. But on the upside, we did look great going forward. Like Mo Salah looked incredible. It's great to see him scoring, thinking of a hat-trick in the first game.
Yeah, especially in your fantasy football team as well. It's always nice.
Yeah, he was in your fantasy football team. You're welcome. Not a lot else to say for me, really. I didn't learn too much. I still think it was it's still early days, and this weekend's fixture, I think, for Liverpool is more important as a marker of where we are. But I mean, hats off to Leeds. We'll see now that they've got Fulham this week, and that's more of a true test again to see where they are once that kind of the first week's out of the way, and they're going to come up against a different side who might be a bit more resilient and offer more resistance than Liverpool do, because we're willing to take those risks. I think we back our defence that we can play that higher line and we won't get caught out. Every so often we are going to get caught out, and I don't think that's going to worry Klopp at all. Obviously, you don't want to concede 3. Of course we don't. But I don't think he's going to be too worried. And I think he'll take a lot from the game that was pretty good, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And well done, you got the victory, obviously, against Leeds, but also well done, because I think you won a football bet as well at the weekend. And I believe if you tuned into last week, I in particular mentioned Newcastle being a surprise package. I said 4-1 is good away odds, and your bet came up trumps, didn't it?
I listened, I had a treble on Arsenal, Newcastle, and Liverpool, I believe it was.
Yeah.
That came in nice, but Newcastle, we were confident that they were going to do well, but it was also a bit like, we'll see how these signings go. But they look great, and I think Callum Wilson, like we've said, is going to be great for those guys, for Newcastle. Who have they got this week? Remind me.
Newcastle. I'm not too sure actually.
They've got Brighton at home.
Oh yeah.
So
that's a winnable game.
Yeah, really good chance for them to kick on.
Exactly.
I'm excited to see how they go.
And from one good prediction to maybe not as good prediction, is a big key takeaway from the game is Spurs losing at home to Everton. Did you see much of that one? Yeah,
I watched the game. I watched the highlights of it. Yeah, they weren't at the races, were they? You know, I was actually very impressed with Everton. Despite Richarlison, I don't know how many
chances.
Christ. But I was quite impressed with them. I think if they can kind of, we knew anyway. We knew Ancelotti was going to put a bit of discipline with these guys, and they've obviously brought in Rodriguez, going to make a difference there. I'm looking forward to seeing how they go. But on the flip side, Spurs, and I guess we'll touch on this in a second with the transfer activity, but the pressure's on Spurs already, I think. I guess I'll switch it back to you, because you had some interesting thoughts on it earlier.
Yeah.
How do I put this? Where do you think Spurs are at? What's going on? Because on one hand, we both predicted they'd do quite well, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's interesting. I've recently watched, obviously, the Amazon documentary, the whole Tottenham, behind the scenes, see the way Mourinho works. And you can see why he does fall out with people. He's a straight talking, no nonsense type of approach, as opposed to the Klopp arm, the Klopp and the Pep arm round you and G you up that way. It is interesting. Obviously, they brought in a couple of players. Now, the thing for me is just a worry in a sense. They've got the players; they can turn it around, no question. They've got the players. You look at that starting 11. It's no problem. But we want to get on to transfers, and we will. They've brought in potentially 2, I believe, at the moment, in the last couple of days, of Reguilon and Gareth Bale returning. But before we get into Spurs and what that means, I actually want to go straight to you because it impacts you more so than Tottenham or us. So Liverpool have picked up Thiago in the last couple of days, it seems to be. Matt, talk me through that one.
Unreal. It's been a long time coming, hey? I feel like we've been talking about Thiago since May, at least.
Yeah.
He's been on the lips of everyone. We knew about him. We knew we were interested. We knew his contract situation. And it just dragged out. And I think at first there was a concern that he wasn't moving fast, but we were forgetting that he was still in a Bayern Munich side that were in the Champions League final. And that things weren't going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think all the while, and Liverpool fans, me included, we're getting a bit twitchy. We hadn't made any of these big signings, and you start to be questioning the board, you're questioning the owners. Why are we not strengthening from a position of strength? And all the while, Liverpool got it under control. Michael Edwards, again, you take your hat off to him. I heard someone say yesterday, you wouldn't want to play poker against him, and I completely agree. That makes absolute sense because you've no idea what's going on. He kind of gives it under the table, and the next thing he just delivers on the plate. Mm. In terms of Thiago himself, I'm very excited about him. What's really great is there isn't many players that could come into this side and make an immediate difference. I think he is one of them. If you're actually asking at the end of the last season what we needed, I mean, a central midfielder it's not what we need. You don't need a central midfielder. Ideally, we need a centre-back and an attacking winger probably. But I don't know who you'd bring in those positions that are going to be any better than what we've got.
Yeah.
Whereas Thiago, he is probably the first. I'm trying to think back, he's probably the first player in, we'll say, a long time that Liverpool have brought in that you would say is world-class. Already world-class. We're bringing in a world-class player. We've got world-class players now, but they've become world-class players whilst at Anfield. I think we're bringing in here Thiago, who is a world-class player in his prime. I think he's going to be able to play in a number of positions throughout that midfield, which will suit us in terms of, I think he can play in that number 10 role. He can play in the number 6 role, or he can play in the centre midfield and dictate play. A little bit like a Xabi Alonso kind of role, but probably without the long-range shooting. Yeah. I can't kind of stress enough how important I think it is that we got this done. The big question now is whether we keep hold of Gini, because I think ideally we'll keep hold of Wijnaldum, and what that'll give us is the ability to rotate through and have a real strength in depth in that midfield, which is what we're going to need. The other thing I think to note about Thiago is that he's had injury problems in his career. What I don't want us to do is run him into the ground by thinking he has to play every week. The thing is now we've got a strong midfield. You can rotate there in the centre. You've got Wijnaldum, Henderson, Keita, Fabinho, and now Thiago Alcantara. We can rotate these guys. They don't all have to play. You're probably going to play 3 at a time. So you've got a better chance than I'm not running him into the ground. Yeah. One more can I say about him. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he brings. Don't know how quickly we'll get him into the side. We've got some League Cup games coming up. It'll be incredible. We got to see him there. But yeah, world-class talent. And one more thing to note is as well, it's a feather in the cap of Liverpool that this guy is coming off winning 7 back-to-back leagues, and he's just won the European Cup, and he wants to come to Liverpool. I'm made up.
Yeah. That's fair enough. And obviously, before we went to Thiago, I spoke about Spurs' ins. Now, Interestingly, with this, Reguilon and Bale obviously look like they're signing for Spurs. Man United was also linked with Thiago, so there are three players you can argue Man United have missed out on in the last 2 days. Now, I feel as though we wasn't in for Thiago at all. I think that was just Man United drumming up another name so Liverpool can come to the party. I think it's not the last time. It's not the first time it's happened, and it won't be the last either. That's just the nature of it. Reguilon, I think there was interest, and again, it's more of a luxury thing where I would have prioritised the left back, but if they're not available, then you don't prioritise it. You don't just bring somebody in. Reguilon was different, Spanish La Liga Team of the Year, a young left back. So Solskjaer's looking, ticks a lot of the boxes of what he's trying to achieve. But the sticking point was it was a 30 million transfer, which was fine for this young lad. However, Real Madrid wanted a buyback clause, and I think that really upset Man United because that automatically, screams as a feeder club and a lesser club. So Man United pulled out of that deal. We've been there before with Gerard Piqué, with Barcelona selling for 5 million peanuts. And you could argue, you train them, you bring them on, you're not giving game time to your academy players as well, just for them you earn a little bit of, 10 million extra, 20 million extra, and, then he becomes a great at Real Madrid. So we pulled out. Spurs said, feeder club, that'll do for us. They've said they can have a buyback clause, so he's going to Spurs. Also, now this relationship, this best buddies with Real Madrid now is Gareth Bale has come on the radar. Gareth Bale, would I took him at United? I'm not sure because yes, it's risk-free. It's a very risk-free loan option because we all know he's injury prone. He's 29, but on his day, he's a very, very good player. The concerns I have, like watching the documentary, Spurs are a very close-knit unit. That team are very close. They've been together for quite a while now. And this, I believe, could set up the apple cart a little bit, really mess things up with the dynamic, with the culture, because he's coming in on, although there might be a 50% wage thing, he's coming in on big wages. He might be on at least 400, 500,000 a week at Real Madrid. Let's say it's half of that. It's still 250, 300,000. Yeah. You might get some pay rise left, right and centre with your Kanes, with your Allis, with those other players. There's talk about Dele Alli going the other way as well. So it's a bit of that will really upset things. But it's Real Madrid, don't forget. Spurs are doing them a favour by taking Gareth Bale off them because he obviously doesn't want to play. Zidane doesn't like him. But Real Madrid aren't doing it out of the goodness of the heart. They don't have a heart, Real Madrid. They can see the bigger picture. They're seeing that there'll be some sort of deal where either one, it's a mandatory fee at the end of the loan where Spurs have to buy him, or two, it's start of that perfect relationship where Harry Kane in 12 months' time probably signs for Real Madrid. And then back to Mourinho, a release clause, Gareth Bale on loan, problems of moving them on, wages, upsetting the apple cart, all that what we've just said. 2 short-term buys for a short-term manager in Mourinho. It makes sense. They're not my problem. They're Daniel Levy's problem. Am I far wrong with that?
No, you're exactly right. I thought you were saying about the short-term manager to fix and short-term buys to fix a short-term problem. Because you look at the way they've started the season, they struggled last night away in Russia, wherever they played, against 9 men. It took a penalty and a late goal to get them through there. They struggled, and they're all of a sudden you're coming off a defeat in that first game, a struggle against a nobody side in Europe. And now you've got to go away to Southampton at the weekend. Yeah. The pressure's on. The pressure's really on. And obviously they're not going to have these signings in place in time for that game. But, yeah, and it's the short-termness of it. I don't understand it, especially when Spurs have recently put all that money into a stadium. They're building a brand. They've had a documentary about them. It's not the time to be short-term, is it? It's the time to make sensible long-term decisions. Gareth Bale isn't a sensible long-term decision. A buyback clause isn't a sensible long-term decision. I don't think. And like you said, that there's a danger there of doing that, getting that relationship with Real Madrid, where you start to lose your big players. We've been victim of it before with Barcelona.
Yeah.
We've been a victim of this, where you first they're taking Suarez, the next thing Coutinho's gone, and they start to take him, and they can peel away the lifeblood of a club there. And like you say, with the dynamic in that Spurs dressing room, a lot of it's built around Dele Alli, Harry Kane. They're your leaders. They're the people that have been there for a long time. You start to lose people like that. The club has a completely different identity.
They sold Bale to Real Madrid in the first place. They sold Luka Modric to Real Madrid.
Yep.
So, and, with the whole apple cart and the wages, it's very similar to the Man United with Sanchez thing. As soon as Sanchez was signed, they saw the wages. Suddenly it was, new contracts, left, right and centre, pay rises. So, I hope it does bite them on the arse, to be honest. I really hope it does, but who knows? And obviously moving forward, into this week, probably the biggest game, I would say, when you look on paper, is Liverpool and Chelsea. Where do we stand with that one?
Yeah, this is huge. Actually, I think this is a really important game. It's always tough to go away to Stamford Bridge. Recently, we've had a bit more luck there, but if you go back over the years and look, generally we've struggled at Stamford Bridge. It's a tough place to go, fans or no fans. We're in that position once again where we're still not quite sure what Chelsea are going to look like. Yeah. We're also still not sure what Liverpool are going to look like, really. This is a big test for us. This will tell us more about how we're going to go this season. I think we'll know by full time on Sunday. We're going to know what Liverpool are going to look like for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be a bit of a cagey affair. My first thoughts is he's going to go with his tried and trusted midfield. I think you'll see Wijnaldum, Henderson, Fabinho in there. They'll control the game. They'll do the running. Obviously, Salah started really well, and I think he'll be able to cause the defence some problems. Chelsea brought in a lot of attacking talent, and I do think it's probably going to take a bit of time to gel, but they look good going forward last week. But on the flip side, Brighton caused them problems as well, and if Brighton can cause them trouble, so can Salah and Mane. I think they're a bit susceptible at the back as well. Obviously, they've got a keeper there who just doesn't like saving shots.
No, allergic. He's allergic to shot stopping.
Whatever it is. So they can be got at, but so can we. I think they'll think they can turn us around as well. Just looking at Leeds last year. So I think our clear message, if I was Klopp going out there, it would be about stability. It'd be about, let's not make any silly mistakes. Let's control the game. Let's control the ball, and let's catch them out. Let's use our superior attacking talent there to nick the goals. Let's get the ball to Salah. Let's get the ball out wide to Mane. Yeah. But I think it'd be a cagey affair. I'm thinking something like a 2-1 to Liverpool. If you have a prediction.
Well, I'm actually very interested, and I think he's fit this week. I actually am hoping to see a Thiago Silva debut for Chelsea, because I want to see, similar to the Brighton game, does he shore that up from, obviously the keeper's still rubbish, but does he shore that back four up? Yeah. But on the flip side of it, I don't want to be I don't want to sort of rule him out straight away, but he's getting on, Thiago Silva. What's Mane's pace? What's Salah's pace? Can he be caught out? I don't know. That's what I want to see. I want to see what happens.
Yeah, if you're Salah in this confident mood that he's in, if you're in this form, you're licking your lips if you're putting an old fella at the back there, because you're just thinking, I'll just take you on all day. Yeah. That's the mentality we'll go in. I think Salah's very dangerous when he's confident, and you can see when he looks confident, he looks strong. He's very, very dangerous. He'll be difficult to deal with. He'll be very, very difficult. I think, but I say, I don't think we're going to go gun-ho in this game. I think it's one that we know that we'll need to win to put that pressure on. And I think we'll do all the sensible things. I think, unfortunately for my fantasy team, I think he'll probably drop Keita out. I don't think he'll start. I think he's got that creative element where he uses the ball well, but I don't think that's what we're going to want. I think we're going to want to run the game, control the tempo. He'll go with that tried and tested midfield. But 2-1 Liverpool. What would be your score prediction?
2-2.
Ooh.
I'm just that defensive frailty last week. I'm a bit. I want to see how Liverpool bounce back this week. So, and I'll say attacking talent. Does Timo Werner write the story? Who knows?
His pace could cause us problems, especially if we're at 6s and 7s at the back. So it's a fair call. It's the first time we get to see you guys. You've got Palace this weekend. Are you looking forward to seeing this first outing for United?
Yeah, no, definitely. And we've got to, we can't be doing the Spurs. We've got to hit the ground running. It's so important. We're already a game behind, so the league table always looks less favourable on us because it looks like we're so far down the league when we're just behind in games. So we've got to start with a win. Home to Palace, on paper, you go, no question. But they've caused us problems in recent years at home. I don't think there will be many goals in the game. I think it will be a 1 or 2-0 max, or it could be a 1-1. I think there's only going to be a couple of goals in the game. We've got to start well. We've got to be solid defensively, which we at times, we were fairly solid last year. But that pace with Maguire that I worry about, with Zaha, with that Eze who they signed, Townsend. So there's a bit of pace on that Palace front line. I want to see Van der Beek get a start. I think he will get a start. I don't think we will see the Bruno, Donny and Pogba show. I think Paul Pogba may be on the bench. I know that he's recently only just come back in training because of the whole coronavirus stuff. So I've got a feeling he might go with a tried and tested Matic, Van der Beek and Bruno together, as obviously in that 3. Greenwood wide right, Rashford wide left and Martial up front. So it's going to be the 4-3-3 like last season. And it's super important. We've got to get the win. It's going to be a tight game. Palace looked really good last week defensively. So, we've got to, transfer news aside of dragging on, we've got to hit the ground running. We cannot be messing about.
Yeah, I agree with you. You don't want to be dropping points at this even at this early stage. I just think the season's going to go off like a train. And again, I'd be interested to see City. It's obviously City's first game as well, and they've got the banana skin, if you like it, in Wolves. So that'd be interesting to see how they start and if they can also build on, which it's going to be so important for everyone. You don't think you're going to be doing the diamond yet? Not the
diamond. No, we'll wait for the diamond. We'll wait for the Donny diamond. But you mentioned Wolves and City. Yep. Now, I don't know whether this is going to be a regular feature on the show, but Grant's bet of the week. Grant's bet of the week this week is Wolves to beat Manchester City. Ooh.
Well, I mean, I've got to give you this one because you've made money off City losing in the past. So,
1 for 1.
Yeah.
So, and the reason why is Wolves looked very impressive last week. I don't know what your thoughts were.
No, I agree.
City game behind. Are they going to have a slow start? Were they at, how's their pre-season going, etc.? In the last 3 occasions, the last time these 3 have played head-to-head, so these 2 teams have played head-to-head, Wolves have won every single one. And the bookies are saying Wolves to win at home. I know there's no fans or home advantage, but Wolves at home are 6-1 to beat Manchester City.
I like them odds. It's mad, isn't it? It's mad how the odds can be that long.
I know.
Someone with that record, City's first game, I don't know what we're going to get. I hope to God you're right. That's all I'll say. I hope to God you're right.
And probably quickly, to finish on the Premier League, another fixture that catches our eye. We spoke a lot about Spurs. Southampton versus Spurs. How do you see this one?
Tight. I think it's going to be very tight. Mourinho's not going to want to slip up. I think he's going to want to try and catch him, and he'll try and get away with a 1-0 here. How do I think it'll go? I think he's got draw written all over it, unfortunately for Spurs. They're going to want to push for a win, but they're not going to want to risk it all. I think they're going to know that they've got these signings around the corner, and for me, if I was Mourinho, it would be don't lose. And I think they'll come out with a draw.
And Southampton need to win as well. They need to bounce back because of Crystal Palace. I tipped them to do pretty well as well. Got a couple of players in my fantasy football team thinking Southampton would do some good returns. So it's a must-win game for both sides, which tells me it's going to be a draw. So, just the way it is.
If you're having bet to the weeks, I think Southampton Spurs to draw, City to lose. Is that what we're going for?